So someone left this comment on one of my videos last week. It's been over 2 months and I'm not landing any jobs on automation. Please, can you put me through? 2 months, learning the tools, building the workflows, zero paying clients. So today I really want to talk about how you can actually land your first paying clients for an AI automation business or for an AI business in general. I'm going to talk about the real version where the leads come from, where leads are not clients, and one thing you have to figure out before any of this actually works for you. And I'm also going to be very honest with you about how long this process takes because nobody online is actually being transparent. A lot of people are trying to market this whole thing as a get rich scheme. People make it look like all you have to do is to learn AI automation and you're going to get your clients next week. You're going to be making 10K a month. So I'm going to be as transparent with you as possible. Now, here's the other half of this, and this is really one of the reasons why I'm actually making this video. That comment is from just one person, but then I get on discovery calls every month with a completely different kind of persona or a completely different kind of person who has the exact same problem and they never recognize it themselves or they never realize this is the exact problem they have. Or let me describe the type of persona I usually encounter during my discovery calls because I've heard a version of this so many times in my discovery calls. So in this second persona I want to talk about, they're not necessarily a beginner. They've not just learned AI automation the last 2 months. They've been building for years. It might not be in AI, but they've been building a software or something for years. They have a real product in the market. They have a real platform, something they've put serious work into. Plenty of people have already signed up for it and are actually using those platforms, but then they don't have any paying users. So there are some people who have like 30,000 signups, but then they don't have anyone who's actually paying for their product. And when I get on the call with this particular persona, I'm really interested in knowing what they really want to talk about. But then surprisingly, they talk about something different, like maybe they want to build an AI agent, they want to add automation, they want to add voice assistant, something entirely new, something technical so that the money can start flowing in. Now, look at these two people side by side, okay? One is 2 months in learning automation, but then they can't find anyone to pay them. The other persona has years of work experience and a real product people have actually signed for, but then they can't find people to actually pay them to use their product. These two people might look different, but they can't be further apart on experience. They are just opposite ends of the same road, right? Different starting points, but exact same missing piece. So I just want to be very honest with you. Building a business takes time. So you're going to see a lot of people telling you that you can learn anything in a weekend and be at 10 grand in a month in 90 days. Some of those people are going to be selling you the course. Some people genuinely did it, but they had a network or they had a list or they had decades of sales experience they forgot to mention when they were saying all this on social media. So building an AI service business is a business and it follows business rules. You find people with an expensive problem, you convince them that you can fix it, you fix it, they pay you, they tell someone else. The AI part is a delivery method. It's not a shortcut around any of that. So if you're okay with that, then the rest of this video, everything in this video is genuinely doable and is doable without even you being very technical. I noticed that a lot of people who watch this video are not subscribed to this channel. Subscribing to my channel is one of the best and surprisingly free ways you can actually help this channel grow so that I can reach more people. So if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and also put on the notification bell so that I get notified anytime I post any. Now, there are 5 versions of the same mistake I see people make, and I'm going to be very honest with you. I've made 3 of these 5 mistakes myself, and I'm not scared to admit them. So the first mistake, you learned a tool and not the problem. So you can build the workflow great. Now, go to the coach and say, I build any 10 automations. What are they supposed to do with that sentence? Just tell me. Because they don't know what N10 is. They probably have heard about Claude, but they are not like great users of it. They don't know what an automation costs. They don't know what it would replace. You've just given them another homework instead of release. Now just compare this to you're spending 4 hours a week chasing people who never sent their onboarding form back. I can make that stop. Now you realize that you have the same skill, but this is a completely different conversation. One of those you have to explain. The other one, they finish the sentence for you. Now, the second mistake I see a lot of people do, and I did that myself as well, is you're selling AI. Now, this is the shocker, and you probably don't want to hear it. Nobody wants AI. And I know that's an odd thing to say in today's world. Nobody wants AI, okay? People want their missed calls answered. They want to stop doing quotes at 11 p.m. at night. They want to stop copying the same client details into 4 different places. They don't want to be human APIs. They want the report done before the meeting and not during it. Now, AI is just a way you deliver that solution to the person. It's not necessarily the thing you sell. So the moment you lead with AI powered, you've made it about your tools, and now you are now becoming a tech vendor who is competing on price with everyone else who's watched the same tutorials. And trust me, if you go on YouTube and you're searching for AI automation tutorials, there's a lot of those ones there. Now, the third mistake, you think leads are clients, and don't really spend a lot of time here because this is a very expensive one. Now, mistake 4, you're waiting to feel ready. Another course, another tool, another tutorial. 2 months of that feels like progress because you're actually learning, and learning feels like work. It's not the same work, okay? So here's a question I want you to actually answer. In those 2 months that you've been waiting, or in those 2 months that you've been learning a new skill, how many conversations did you have with a real business owner about a real problem in their business? Now, if the answer is 0, you don't necessarily have a client problem. You just have a problem with uncovering problems business owners have, or let's say a conversation problem. No amount of extra tool knowledge, no amount of courses, tutorials is actually going to fix that. Now, the fifth mistake is you are reaching for technology to answer a business question, okay? That's the second person I described. So a product full of people who have already signed up and don't pay, and the instinct is to go build something new, often for a completely different audience, that could actually end up costing you later. So I always ask the same question. Have you ever asked the people who already signed up for your product, or have you already asked the existing base you have, like what they actually signed up for or what they would actually pay for, right? And usually when I have these conversations and I ask people these questions, almost nobody has done that. Nobody has had that conversation. And so that's like an opportunity right there. There's a service sitting there worth more than any agent you could actually build this new group of people you want to target. Because right now, you don't even know if people aren't paying because the product is wrong, or whether the price is wrong, or the audience is wrong, or they never really understood what it does, right? 4 completely different problems, 4 completely different fixes, and you cannot automate your way to the answer. And that applies to you too. By the way, even with 0 clients, okay, if you don't have any clients at all today, you don't have any leads at all today, you don't necessarily need a product to ask people what's actually costing them time. You just need about 10 conversations, and you're able to draw some patterns from those conversations. Now, this is the brief I keep coming back to. Most business owners don't have an AI problem because before AI, they were doing just fine. They have a workflow problem. And if you build AI on top of a process nobody really understands, you just end up getting a faster version of confusion. So here's a shift I really want you to start making, okay? Stop leading with what you can build and start leading with what you can end, okay? So your job is not necessarily, I know you are specializing in AI automation, but your job is not necessarily an AI automation specialist. Your job is now, I make one specific expensive, boring, repetition problem go away from one specific type of business, right? That whole positioning, one problem, one audience, one outcome, that's the whole positioning you need, okay? One problem, one audience, and one outcome you can name. And I want to be clear about why this really matters more than the skill you actually acquire, because everybody can acquire a skill, okay? A narrow specific offer is easier to sell, easier to price, easier to deliver, and easier to repeat. But broad and flexible, it feels safer, but then it's also the reason why you're probably not getting. So I really want to walk you through how you can actually build that, steps, and then where you can actually find people or how you can actually find leads. And I've done videos on this channel. I'll lead you to how you can automate some of these things as well. So the first step is I want you to pick the problem first. Don't pick the tool, okay? Don't think about N10, don't think about Claude, don't think about OpenClaw, don't think about Hermes. Just pick the problem, right? This is what I usually do. Run every idea through 4 filters. So if it fails one, then it shouldn't be like your first offer. Okay, so this is the first filter. If you're talking to a business owner, you're trying to unlock these things. Does it happen over and over again? If it's weekly at minimum, makes sense. But if it's a one-off problem, then those things business owners or people would not really put a budget to. The second thing, does it cost something you can name, right? So maybe hours, missed calls, late invoices, lost leads, refund. So if you can't actually name the cost to the problem, then they can't actually justify the spend. The third one, does somebody actively hate doing it? Emotion is what gets a meeting booked, okay? Mild inefficiency doesn't. On the fourth one, can you say out loud who has it? Not small businesses, something like dental clinics with one front desk person or coaches who run one-on-one packages and onboard by email. So here are some that pass all four for the audience I work with. Onboarding a new client by hand, chasing intake forms, writing proposals from scratch every time, monthly client reports, answering the same 15 questions before every discovery call, missed calls after hours. These are some of the problems that actually pass these filters. And none of those sentences contain the word AI, and that's on purpose, okay? Now, the second step here is I want you to pick who has this problem, okay? Be very specific, specifically enough to count them. And here's my test for whether your niche is actually real, okay? Can you build a list of 100 of them by name this afternoon, okay? Service businesses, no. Coaches, barely. If you say something like mortgage brokers in the GTA or mortgage brokers in Ottawa with a team of 5 or with a team of 2 to 5 years, I could have that list before dinner. If you can't count them, you can't reach them. And every message you write will be generic because you are writing to nobody. It's like you are just talking to the wind and nobody would really listen to you because you're not being specific. Now let's talk about step 3. Build one piece of proof, okay? Not a portfolio, just one thing. Build the fixed ones properly and then document the before and after. Best options in order, okay? Build it in your own business first, right? So you're a service business, you have onboarding, you have follow-ups. Make sure you're fixing your problem first and then film it. And then now go look for somebody who has that problem and then build it for them. Don't charge any money. Build it for that person for free. And in exchange for that, get their numbers and get their own reviews, okay? Mind you, I'm not telling you to do free work forever. One build for them is fine. Make sure you scope it well, have it in writing in exchange for a testimonial with a real figure in it. And then now build a public demo version for a business type with fake but realistic data. What you need out of it is one sentence with a number. It took her 3 hours a week. Now it takes 11 minutes. And then she's actually like giving you a review about that to actually confirm it. That sentence is actually worth more than every certificate you've collected, and it's actually worth more than any tutorial you've actually watched. Now, step 4, go where the problem is already being described out loud. So this is the part everyone asks for. Let me be properly useful and honest about the trade-offs. So if you go to job boards like Upwork or LinkedIn, Contra, or even other niche job boards, people here have budgets and have already written down their problem. And that's genuinely vulnerable when you have 0 clients. What nobody tells you is that you're competing globally on price. Most posts are underpriced, and the ones titled N810 developer wanted are the worst ones to actually answer. So look for posts that are actually describing a problem rather than requesting a tool. And then in your proposal, restate their problem back to them more clearly than they wrote it and propose a small paid first step instead of the whole build. Now, this is actually good for you if you want to get like your first 1 to 3 clients and approve, but it's bad for your margins long term because it's really priced low and you're competing globally. Now, the second one, go to people who already trust you. So your former colleagues, past clients, your old employer, the person you did a favor for last year. Highest close rate of anything on this list by a distance, and almost everybody skips it because it feels like you're begging. But then this is not begging, okay? I built something that fixes it. You mentioned that was a headache. Want to see it? It's a normal message between adults, okay? Nobody's gonna judge you. Nobody's gonna think you're begging them. And if they are judging you, you move on to the next person. Now, local businesses, drive past them, Google Maps them, notice the gaps, no online booking. Phone goes to voicemail at 5 p.m. No follow-ups after your coach. Underserved and mostly ignored by the AI crowd because It's not glamorous. It's slower, it needs patience, but very little competition, okay? Now let's look into other places like communities where your audience already complains. So Facebook groups, Reddit, Slack, circle communities, industry forums, LinkedIn comment sections. Do not pitch, okay? Answer questions for a few weeks, people will DM you. And this is the one that actually works best for someone who is non-salesy. And it's actually the slowest to feel like it's working. And then there's also the concept of referral partners, okay? So people you actually even work with already. So bookkeepers, VAs, web designers, marketing agencies, anyone already selling to your niche who doesn't do what you actually do. And one good partner actually beats 100 of cold emails. And then now let's talk about your content, like what I've been doing on this channel. It's the slowest. It requires a lot of discipline, consistency, grit. But it compounds the hardest. It's how most of my discovery calls get booked. But content is a lead source. It's not a lead strategy. So you can't wait on it while you have no clients. Now, I've given you so many ways to find people. Just pick 2 of them, not all 6. Because if you do 2 of them properly for 8 weeks, it will beat all the 6 done badly for 1. Now, let's talk about step 5. Understand that a lead is not a client, okay? And this is the one I want you to remember if you forget anything else. A lead is someone who might have a problem. A client is someone who has the problem, has the money, has the authority to say yes, and has a reason to fix it now. Okay. So this is like sales 101. The person needs to have authority, they need to have budget, they need to have the time and everything. So you need to qualify them like this. So 4 things. If you're missing any one of them, you have a nice conversation, but then you end up having no invoice. So they need to have a problem, okay? They need to agree that this is a problem, not you telling them it is. They need to have money so that you don't end up wasting your time. So there's a budget or there's an obvious cost that justifies making one. They need to have authority so the person on the call can actually say yes. They need to have urgency, something that makes this month different from next month. A hire they are avoiding, a busy season, a client they lost. They need to have urgency, okay? Most people who can't get clients are actually collecting leads and calling them a pipeline, okay? And I actually did a video on how you can get unlimited leads. Like getting those emails, getting the phone numbers, getting all those things are just easy, okay? If you send 50 Upwork proposals with no reply, it's not 50 leads, that's 50 times you didn't get read, okay? And here's a practical move that changed this for me. Don't propose a build on the first call. First thing is to sell a paid diagnostic first, an audit, which is really, let's say, a small fixed fee piece of work where you map what they actually do, where the time goes, what's worth fixing. It's a low risk yes for them, it gets money moving, and it stops you scoping a build on top of a process neither of you understands yet. I do this with every single engagement now. I do done with you, I do done for you. It always starts with an audit. And I'm not going to gatekeep this. It's because I refuse to automate a mess and hand someone a faster mess. So I typically do audits. You can have it free, you can have it paid, depends on what you want to do. So let's talk about what this would get you once you follow these frameworks I've mentioned, okay? Here's what changes when you run it this way. Your outreach now stops being about you. You go from I build AI automations to you're losing X hours a week on Y. And here's what it looks like if it gets fixed. And one of those would get deleted, but then the other one will get a reply. Your pricing stops being a guess. So when you know the problem costs them 4 hours a week, the fee now makes sense on its own, right? You're not depending on hourly rate, like I talked about in my last video, because you're now comparing to a cost they already agreed to. Your delivery gets simpler. One problem solved repeatedly gets better and faster every time. So you stop rebuilding from scratch for every single client, and your calls get shorter because you're no longer explaining what AI is in your discovery calls. You're just talking about their problem, what happens to them on a Tuesday morning, why they are even so frustrated, okay? Now, let me give you the honest timeline because I said I would, okay? I'm not going to tell you it takes 30 days because I don't know your network, I don't know your niche, or how many conversations you're willing to have. What I can tell you is what the maths depends on, and you can run it with your own numbers, okay? Conversations you start, times you share that turn into a roll call, times the share of those that become a paid audit. 3 numbers. If 2 of them are 0, no 2 fixes. So if you've been learning AI automation for 2 months and you've not had any conversations, It's not that you've been trying to get clients for 2 months. It's just that you've been preparing for 2 months, and that's fine. But then I would rather you spend the next 2 weeks on 20 conversations and one small paid audit than on another certification or another tutorial. Now, I want to talk about 3 things before you go do this, okay? One, don't sell an automation to a business whose process is broken. If they can't tell you how something works today, you cannot automate it. You build something that produces the wrong output faster and it will stay with you. Okay. So make sure that even if you meet a business or you meet a client or a potential client and they have a broken process, just make sure that you're fixing that process first or charge to map it. That alone can be an offer. The fact that you run an AI business does not mean that everything has to be about AI. Okay. Two, be careful what you promise. Okay. This will save you 10 hours a week. When you haven't seen their setup, is how you end up with a refund and a bad reputation in a small niche. So please do not go and overpromise and underdeliver. Promise the diagnosis, deliver the outcome, not the other way around. Now, 3, the moment you touch a client's data, it now becomes your responsibility. Your client's list, emails, call recordings, intake forms. Know where it's stored, who can see it, and what happens if you disappear. If you're not sure whether something is confidential, it's confidential. So deciding that after you've built the workflow is too late. And the thing I keep saying, AI should help you prepare. Humans should actually communicate with humans. Let it draft the onboarding pack, build the report, pull the follow-up list. The client relationship is a part you don't automate and is a part you're actually paying for. So if you're that person who left a comment or you find yourself in a similar situation, I made this video specifically to address that. And so I would want you to try it out. Go talk to at least 10 people. Let me know in the comment section below if you've been doing this without any outcome. Let me know what some of the challenges you face with it. And I'm probably going to make another video to address it as well. But as usual, thank you for watching and I hope to see you in the next one.